Susie, look, we understand how you feel.
No, you don't. Or you wouldn't be leaving. And how do you think Uncle Jesse's gonna feel?
The Dukes of Hazzard ended in 1985. The General Lee stopped jumping, the camera stopped rolling, but for the people inside that orange car, the real story was just getting started. One of them became a United States Congressman and lost to Newt Gingrich. Another became a mayor. One traded his badge for a deck of playing cards. One got famous twice, decades apart, for two completely different characters. And one of them never really left Hazzard County at all, not even after he died. This is what happened when the cameras stopped rolling. Number 16. Cooter Davenport spent 7 seasons under a car with a wrench in his hand. Off-camera, Ben Jones had bigger plans. In 1986, he ran for the U.S. House of Representatives in Georgia and lost, barely, with 47% of the vote. 2 years later, he ran again. This time he won, becoming a sitting member of Congress while reruns of The Dukes of Hazzard still aired in syndication. He was re-elected in 1990. Then his district was redrawn, and in 1992, he lost his seat. In 1994, still not done, he ran again, this time against Newt Gingrich, the man about to become Speaker of the House. He lost that race too. 4 campaigns, 1 win, 1 full term, and a lifetime of trading a mechanic's coveralls for a suit and tie. Cooter never gave up on Washington. Washington just never gave him a second act. Number 15. Milo Bradley was a 1-episode guest role, a towering stranger passing through Hazzard County. Richard Mall was 6'8", and directors rarely knew what to do with him. A year after his Hazzard appearance, he shaved his head for a low-budget science fiction film. The look stuck. He walked into an audition for a new courtroom sitcom still bald from that role, and the producers told him to keep it. That bailiff became Bull Shannon on Night Court, a character with a fictional IQ of 181, played by a man best known before that for playing tough guys. 9 seasons. Hazzard was a stop on the way, not the destination. Number 14. Stephen Williams didn't just guest star once on The Dukes of Hazzard. He played 2 different characters, Percy in 1 episode and Lehman in another. The kind of actor casting directors call back because he simply works. That instinct paid off. Williams became Captain Fuller on 21 Jump Street, then the mysterious informant known only as X on The X-Files, then Rufus Turner on Supernatural decades later. 3 separate generations of television found him playing 3 separate men of quiet authority. Hazzard County never got a fraction of that screen time from him. It got him first. Number 13. Judson Scott played Benson, a clean-cut stranger who rolled through Hazzard for 1 episode and never came back. Months later, he shaved his head, arched his eyebrows, and became Joachim, Khan's loyal lieutenant in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, standing beside Ricardo Montalban in one of science fiction's most quoted villain scenes. A small-town guest spot turned into a seat on the bridge of a warship trying to destroy the Enterprise. Nobody in Hazzard County saw that coming, least of all, Judson Scott. Number 12. Charles Cyphers played Phil, a rough, blue-collar face in the Hazzard background. 1 appearance, no fanfare. John Carpenter clearly saw something else in him. Cyphers became one of Carpenter's most trusted actors, appearing in Halloween, The Fog, and Escape from New York, the calm one standing next to the sheriff while the world fell apart around him. He died in 2024, at 85, after decades of being the actor horror fans recognized instantly but rarely remembered by name. Number 11. Dennis Haskins played Elmo, a Hazzard local who showed up, caused a little trouble, and disappeared into the county dust. A few years later, an entirely new generation of kids would recognize him instantly, not from Hazzard, but from a school hallway. Haskins became Mr. Belding, the exasperated principal on Saved by the Bell, a role so iconic that most of his fans have no idea he was ever in Hazzard County at all, let alone that he swapped a dusty back road for a California high school hallway. Number 10. By 1982, Tom Wopat and John Schneider were the 2 most recognizable faces on American television, and they weren't seeing a cent of the merchandising money. Lunchboxes, toy cars, board games. None of it was in their contracts. They walked off the show mid-season. 2 replacement actors, Coy and Vance, filled the General Lee for 19 episodes, while the original Duke boys fought the studio in a very public standoff. A settlement was reached. Wopat and Schneider came back in 1983 and finished the show they had started. Number 9. Before Hazzard County, Alan Autry was a quarterback, drafted by the Green Bay Packers, cut after 2 seasons. He landed a 1-episode role as a character named Dawson, one more face passing through. Acting became his real career instead. Then, in 2000, Autry ran for mayor of Fresno, California, and won. He was re-elected in 2004 and served 2 full terms until 2009. A failed athlete and a bit part actor from Hazzard County had ended up running the 5th largest city in California. Ben Jones wasn't the only one who traded the show for public office. He wasn't even the only one who won. Number 8. In 1978, Byron Cherry auditioned for the part of Bo Duke alongside his best friend, John Schneider. Schneider got the role. Cherry didn't. He went to work as a flight attendant for Eastern Airlines instead, until 1982, when Schneider and Wopat walked off the show and the producers needed someone fast. Cherry became Coy Duke, Bo's stand-in cousin, for 19 episodes. The friend who lost the audition ended up filling the seat his best friend had just vacated. Number 7. Nedra Volz was 70 years old and barely 5 feet tall when she became Hazzard's postmistress, Ms. Tisdale, a role built entirely around old lady chaos and a wandering eye for Uncle Jesse. It wasn't a fluke. Volz had spent decades in tent shows and vaudeville before television ever found her, and her real fame arrived astonishingly late, well into her 60s and 70s, on Different Strokes, All in the Family, and finally, Hazzard. She died in 2003, at 94, one of the rare character actors whose career only really began once most people retire. Number 6. Peggy Rhea played Lulu, Boss Hogg's wife, loud, loving, and the only person in Hazzard County who could shut him down with a look. Off camera, she had already worked with Lucille Ball in the 1950s and spent decades as a familiar face on Gunsmoke and The Waltons. She kept working long after Hazzard ended, playing Brett Butler's mother-in-law on Grace Under Fire, into her 70s. She died in 2011, 1 month shy of her 90th birthday, one of the longest careers in the entire Hazzard cast. Number 5. Jeff Altman spent years as Boss Hogg's slick nephew Huey, then built a real stand-up career around it. More than 40 appearances on Letterman, national commercials, a spot on The Tonight Show. Then he walked away from Los Angeles entirely. Altman moved to rural North Carolina to chase a completely different obsession, sleight-of-hand card magic, a skill his father taught him as a boy. The schemer from Hazzard County spent his later years fooling people with a deck of cards instead of a courtroom bribe. Number 4. Lindsay Bloom spent 3 seasons as Mabel, Hazzard's gossiping switchboard operator, once tied to a chair and rescued by the Duke boys. A few years later, she landed the lead role of Velda in Mike Hammer, and to get it, she dyed her hair brunette and lost 22 pounds, reading the script 9 times to prepare. The switchboard girl who knew everyone's business in Hazzard became a private detective's most trusted partner on national television. Number 3. Sonny Schroyer's Enos Strat was so popular that CBS spun him off into his own show in 1980. Enos, a deputy solving crime in Los Angeles. It lasted 18 episodes before cancellation. Schroyer had negotiated one thing into his contract before he ever left Hazzard. If the spin-off failed, he would get his old job back. It failed. He came home in 1982 and stayed until the series ended in 1985, the only Hazzard character written out, spun off, canceled, and welcomed back into the same show. Number 2. Roscoe P. Coltrane's chuckle and blundering charm made James Best one of Hazzard's most beloved faces. Almost nobody knew he was first cousin to Don and Phil Everly, of the Everly Brothers, country music royalty running through the family of Hazzard County's bumbling sheriff. In 2011, at 84, Best sued Time Warner over unpaid residuals from decades of Hazzard reruns, a quiet legal fight most fans never heard about, fought by a man still remembered for one clumsy laugh. Number 1. Rick Hurst played Cletus for 5 seasons and never really stopped. He came back for both reunion movies. He kept doing fan conventions into his 70s, still signing autographs as Boss Hogg's clumsy cousin. On June 26, 2025, he was scheduled to appear at Cooter's Place in Pigeon Forge the following week. He died suddenly that afternoon, at 79, cause unknown, with no warning at all, 1 week before he was due back in front of the fans who still lined up for his autograph. Hazzard County ended in 1985. Rick Hurst never actually left it.